Welcome back to my playlist on how to calculate the volume and surface area of three-dimensional figures. We just covered the surface area and volume of square prisms, and now we're moving on to rectangular prisms. Again, if you don't know what a rectangular prism is, I recommend you go back to the first video in this playlist where I define what characteristics make it a rectangular prism. Okay, so in order to calculate the volume of this, it's going to be a very similar formula to what we did with the square prism, where we're going to need the area of the base of this rectangular prism and the overall height of the prism. And the area of the base of the prism is going to be found using the area formula for a rectangle, which is length times width. So when we're looking at the shape, I'm going to see here that where my red boxes are, that's where the base of my rectangular prism is. Okay, and kind of unpacking a little bit and defining some of these values, I'm going to say that 4 represents the length of that shape, and 3 represents the width of that rectangle. Okay, and then we're also going to need the height of the prism, so the distance between those two rectangular shapes that are stacked on top of each other. That's going to be 2 kilometers. So this one is going to represent the height of our shape. Okay. Now when we go to calculate the volume as the area of the base times the height of the prism, we can rewrite this and say that the area of the base is going to be the same as length times width, which will then get multiplied by the height. Okay. Now we can start substituting in values. We get 4 times 3 for the area of the base, and then the height representing 2. So 4 times 3 is going to be 12 times 2, which together makes 24 kilometers cubed. Okay, make sure you're using cubed units when you're calculating volume. Okay, the other example is dealing with the surface area. So to calculate the surface area, we're going to need 2 times the area of the base plus the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. Okay, so now let's start replacing these values. We get 2 times the area of the rectangular base, which is going to be length times width, plus the perimeter. And from our formula list, the perimeter formula for a rectangle is going to be 2 times the length added to 2 times the width. And all of that is going to get multiplied by the height of the prism. Okay? Now we can define our values and our shape. So looking at this shape, I'm going to say that this really skinny rectangle represents the base of our prism, and the distance between those two is going to represent the height. So let's go ahead and say that the length of the base of the rectangle is going to be this 11. 2 will be the width, which makes 10 the height. Okay, now substituting values into our formula, we get 2 times 11 times 3. Oh no, sorry. Excuse me, 2 plus 2 times 11 plus 2 times 2 times 10 for height. And then it's just about simplifying. You could even put it into the calculator in its entirety like this, but let's go ahead and calculate this. We get 2 times 22 plus 22 plus 4 times 10. So we get 44 plus 26. Make sure I calculate this correctly. Times 10. Okay, 26 times 10 is going to be 260. Adding those together, we get 304 feet, feet squared. Almost messed myself up there. Okay, so the amount of wrapping paper that it's going to take to cover this rectangle box is going to be 304 square feet. Okay, and that's calculating volume and surface area of rectangular prisms. Stay tuned for volume and surface area of triangular prisms.